If you're looking for a new camera monitor, then chances are you're trying to decide between something a bit more economical and something that's a bit more professional. Well, today we're talking about a monitor that kind of checks both of those boxes. This is the Neewer F700. This is the Neewer F700 field monitor, and it's surprisingly good, especially for the price. Now, the intro shot I actually just captured with this monitor on the top of this camera. So the brightness that you saw in that intro shot is true to life, and it is pretty much as bright as possible right now. It's around 4 p.m. in Alberta, Canada on a summer day, not a cloud in the sky until like all the way over there, but the sun's up there if you can't tell. This thing is kind of made for the outdoors, and no, I don't say that because it's got like waterproof rating and stuff. In fact, I don't think it does. At least they don't advertise it. I say it's made for the outdoors because it's bright as hell. It's got 2,000 nits of brightness. The Atomos Ninja from 2024 that I have here is only about 1,000. Now, they both seem plenty bright for me when I'm outside, but this one technically does have more brightness, and you'll be seeing that right now. These are the monitors side by side, and you can kind of see which one is a bit brighter. So these monitors are basically in direct sunlight, which is pretty much the worst possible operating conditions for them, but I figure that's the best way to show them off. Now, both of these monitors deal with reflections pretty much the same way. They're both polarized, although the Ninja does have a screen protector on it, so it's not really a one-to-one comparison. But you can see when I step in front of it and my shadow's blocking the reflection, the Neewer is definitely the brighter of the two. This thing's got a lot of functions baked in, so let's take it inside and check all those out and kind of see how it works. Quick sidebar, Neewer did send me this monitor for free. I forgot to mention that in the intro, but no money changed hands. They're not expecting me to post anything about it specifically, and they don't get to see this video before I launch it. This is an honest review, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of that just for transparency. All right, so we got this thing on the bench now. There'll probably be some fingerprints on the monitor because my hands are a bit greasier than normal. I don't know, or this monitor just picks up fingerprints, but just be aware of that. Right side, you can swipe up to control the volume output on the headphones. Left side is brightness, but both of those are all the way up already. I do find it's kind of annoying to get out of this control because like you can't make any other changes while the brightness meter's still up. So you have to actually like go in and double tap to open up the menu and then close it, and then that gives you access to the quick access menu at the bottom. Pretty simple. You've got the standard stuff there: peaking, histogram, audio meters, vector scope, waveform, and the all wave function. I'm not going to go through all those. You'll be seeing those as we go through the main settings, which you get to by double tapping on the screen. So let's start up at exposure assist. So first option is false color. We've got the spectrum and RE false color. And then close. For some reason, they use close instead of off and open instead of on. I think it's just bad translation. This is a Chinese product, so we'll close out of those. If you know how to use false color, there you go. It's got them. They work. We've got zebras, so you can set the sensitivity of them. There's only one zebra level. You can't have like two, but it's IRE zebras. People like to keep them around 70 or 80. I don't really use zebras. I'm a histogram guy myself, so let's just turn those back off. But you have them there as an option. Let's go down to histogram, turn that on. Basically, you got close again, and then brightness or RGB histograms, and then you can position it. That's about it. It works, you know, it's a good histogram, but I use the one that's on my camera, to be honest. I prefer the Panasonic one better, but it's there as an option if you want it. So let's close out of that, and let's go to waveform. All right, so it's currently on close, obviously, so off. And then we have the three different waveform functions: Y, YUV, and RGB, and close. Obviously, you can position them the same. Vector scope, on, off, or open, close, and same position controls. And then all wave, which I don't really like. It kind of just makes the preview monitor smaller, but it gives you every setting you could really want. It's kind of all there. So if you're really into seeing the technical side of things, you can use that. I don't really like it. And then you got HDR compensation. You can turn that on or off. I'm not going to because it'll mess up the LUT that I have applied already, and I just don't want to. Focus and composition. We got single color controls. Why you'd want this, I'm not really sure. You know, the red makes sense if you're like in a dark environment, but the other colors, I don't really get it. Maybe if you focus better on black and white if you're pulling focus, but the only thing I can see use for is the red. The green, I don't get it, but it's there. Peaking, again, you've got green, blue, white, and red. I don't like using red for my peaking because it's makes me think I'm recording when I'm not. But you can adjust the strength and the color. It's just regular peaking. That's about it. Nothing too fancy about that. Center mark, it's just a center mark in the middle of the screen. You can turn that on. You can see there's a red cross right in the center of the screen. I like to keep it on as a black cross if I have it, but you can also do white, blue, and green. Safe area. So you kind of the same thing. You can control the safe area, how much of the screen you want to be safe and not on the edge, kind of. It's just to help make sure you don't like put someone's head around the edge of frame if it might be cropped. And you can have that in a red box, which would make me think I'm recording, or a green, blue, or white, or black, or I guess gray. Then you've got mark ratio. This could be really useful, but they don't have a 9:16 function. So you can see all the functions they have here, all the different aspect ratios, but they don't have 9:16. They have 16:9, but most of the time when people are using this feature, oh, camera went to sleep. Most of the time when people are using this feature, they're using it to shoot both vertical and horizontal. Just got to reopen the menu settings. It goes away kind of quick. But yeah, they don't have a 9:16. So it's not really something that I would find very useful unless I was planning on cropping my image afterward for some reason to one of these aspect ratios that's listed here. Let's go to grid lines. Okay, these are handy. 2x2, 3x3, all the way up to 8x8. Don't know who uses 8x8. You'd have to be a lunatic. I use 3x3. And then we've got audio meters. You can turn those on and off. If I play the video playback through the HDMI, you'll see that the audio meters are going through. You can see the audio that you're monitoring. I don't know why that's in focus and composition though, so let's turn that off. Now we'll go to LUT config. This menu's pretty simple. We got system LUTs. I think there's about 11 in here, so let's go ahead and open that. Yeah, there's 2 pages, 11 total. I've seen more LUTs in some other posts online. I've seen up to like 22 or something. My monitor's fully updated and I only have 11. But it's got kind of all the essentials. Oh, let me just close again. There we go. So it's got Panasonic V-Log, which I like, Canon, Sony, Blackmagic, and a bunch of RED profiles. Although if you have a RED budget, I don't know why you're getting a more budget monitor, but I guess it would work for you. So you can do that if you want. Okay, and then we have user LUTs. So you can load up custom LUTs from an SD card. I've loaded one in that I like and I use for a lot of my monitoring. I bought it a couple years ago. There's a couple in there that I put in there. Super easy to load them up. I don't know if there's a limit. I'm sure there would have to be technically, but I'm not familiar with a limit of LUTs. So yeah, that's what I use. And then you can have the menu where you put them in. That's pretty much it. You put the SD card in the bottom, you search it, and it finds them. All right, display settings. We got the aspect ratio. Leave it on auto. You got all these different functions. So unless something's really messed up with the output of your camera, chances are you can leave it on auto. Display flip. This can be super handy if you're filming yourself, more like looking in a mirror. I use that sometimes. My Ninja doesn't have a great display flip. It can flip up and down, but not side to side. So this is actually super handy. Zoom, you can zoom in ×1 or ×3. But I find that setting to be kind of useless because you can also pinch zoom. So I don't know why you'd go all the way into that menu to zoom 3 times when you can just do it with your fingers. And yeah, it doesn't double tap to zoom out though. So you got to go in here and either zoom out manually or do that. Pixel to pixel, we got that. Scan mode, we got that, or overscan. Freeze, you can freeze the frame if you want. I don't really know why you'd want that, but you can. And then you've got battery and fan control. So the battery info I have open, which because I like to see my battery levels. And then the fan, I just leave it on auto, but you can control it and go low, medium, or high. So let's put it up to high, and there we go. It's not particularly loud, so you probably can't hear it, especially because this voiceover is being recorded afterwards. All right, we got anamorphic. This is just anamorphic compensation. If you're using an anamorphic lens, you can de-squeeze. It's got the standard sizes in there, I think. I don't know. I don't have anamorphic lenses. I don't shoot anamorphic, but yeah. System config. We got the menu language. That's on English, and I'm not changing it because I won't find it again. We got 20 seconds for duration. I think that is how long you have to be idle before the screen closes itself. So I'm putting that on 20. It was on 10. Color, you can adjust the standard color, like adjustment profiles. It's kind of exposure right there, brightness, and then sharpness, contrast, saturation, tint. I don't see much use of doing this. Better just to adjust it in your camera. Color temperature, you can adjust that too. Again, it's just a field monitor though. It's not recording anything, so I'm not too sure why it has all these. It's just, I guess it can. Backlight, brightness 100%, sound, it's all the way up, but it needs headphones, it doesn't have speakers built in. Hotkey, the hotkeys on the top, you can tell them what you want them to do. I just am gonna leave it on the default. And then you have the update option, which I just did, although it says I did it in March, which is months ago, and the update I did was from May, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, it says March 22nd. And then we've got the status, which is just kind of all the basic settings for the monitor, the input, frame rate, backlight, yada yada. And that's about it as far as settings go. We have the shortcuts here on the side, which line up with the quick access menu at the bottom, but you can't change those to my knowledge. So yeah, that's kind of about it.
Now, there are a few other features that this monitor has that some of my other monitors don't have, which are actually kind of handy. For one, it's got tactile push buttons on the top for you to use to control different settings. It's got programmable function keys. It's got menu navigation, menu set buttons, and back buttons. So you can operate this monitor without using the touchscreen if you want. In fact, you can lock the touchscreen and only use the buttons if you really want, which can be super handy if you don't play nice with touchscreens or if you're wearing gloves or something outdoors. Another super awesome feature is the hot swappable batteries. So since this has 2 battery slots, you can actually take one out and leave it on and then replace it with a freshly charged one. This makes it so that you can put in a freshly charged battery without having to turn off the monitor, like you would if you only had one battery slot. The batteries themselves are also pretty nice. These Neewer NPF batteries are really cool and are actually USB-C chargeable, which isn't something I've seen before. So I've actually started using these over my larger off-brand ones. Now, speaking about power, there are a couple options. So we've got the batteries on the back, and then we also have the 12-volt DC in, as well as USB-C 5-volt. Which is super handy, and I've actually never seen that on a monitor. But that gives you a ton of flexibilities when rigging up a camera or using off-the-cuff power solutions, which is really neat. The monitor also comes with this cold shoe mount. I usually hate cold shoe mounts. I swear against them. I don't like them at all. But of cold shoe mounts, this is probably the best one I've ever used. It's got a super great grip on it, so you can tighten it down really well. And it's got holes in it so that you can use an Allen wrench to tighten it up even further. Along with the RE pin on top, I literally don't think you could make a better cold shoe mount if you tried.
So let's go through the pros and cons of this monitor. I have them written down here because no, I'm not off book. I'm not a professional actor. Pros are, it's a good deal. It's bright as all hell. It's got LUT support, which is really great and an awesome feature to have. The control options, you got buttons and touchscreen, and both of them work really well and simply. The batteries are hot swappable, and there's multiple power functions like USB-C and 12-volt DC in, and the batteries. On the con side, for one, there's not really any accessories for it. The monitor isn't as popular as products from like Atomos or Hollyland, so there's not really going to be a lot of third-party support. Like, you can't get a cage for this monitor like you can for a Ninja or a Shinobi or something else. There's also not really a big market for screen protectors. I found one online from a random brand that I don't recognize on some random website that I don't trust. Another con, because it doesn't really have any cage options, there's not a lot of mounting options. There's one horizontal and one vertical mount, but that's about it. There's not really any other way to mount it. So if you want to connect other things to it, you're kind of out of luck. Or if you don't want to use the RE mount screw and you want to use something like a NATO clamp, you just can't. All that being said though, this thing does have a lot of things that stand out over other monitors. I have found myself using this and grabbing for this more frequently than my Atomos Ninja, just because it is a bigger screen, it looks clearer and brighter, and I don't often use my Ninja actually as a recorder. So just as a screen, this is probably better. So that is the Neewer F700 monitor. Let me know what you think of it. If you picked one up, if you own one, let me know kind of what you're thinking about it, and if this video was a help for you at all. If you liked the video, leave a like, and yeah, comment, subscribe, all that other YouTuber stuff, I don't know. Oh, and don't blame me for this harsh lighting, all right? I tried shooting this out here at dusk for the past like 2 nights, and the midges were just absolutely insane, so I gave up and decided to shoot in the daytime. So yeah, sorry about that. Bye.